My husband walked in on me, cheating on him with another man, and his reaction was intense. Consequently, he was sentenced to 7 years in jail, and now, my entire family despises me. I shattered our once happy family, and I can't help but acknowledge that my actions were selfish. I repeat this self-condemnation almost every night. As I sit in the silence of my empty home, my children are not with me, and understandably, my ex-husband harbors deep resentment towards me. My immediate family is divided, and I've never stopped hating myself for what I did. My selfish act took place in 2015, and I've just turned 39. Reflecting on my past, I realized I didn't fully appreciate my ex-husband. He consistently praised my looks, paid attention to our intimate life and cared for me, treating me as an equal partner, rather than putting me on a pedestal. Our relationship spanning 20 years began as high school sweethearts and evolved into a deep, exclusive love. Our bond felt natural and right, earning him admiration from my family. My brother, in particular, revered him for his guidance. During tough times, he was a man others relied on in their moments of need, always ready to lend a hand throughout our years together. He was a genuinely good person, and we raised 2 determined boys at the time of this incident. Our children were in their teenage years. I had gained weight and felt self-conscious, but my ex always reassured me of my beauty. We rarely argued, but when we did, it usually centered around our ZS life, or rather my lack of interest. The things I declined to do in bed were not due to a lack of desire, but more a matter of not being in the mood. Something he understood. When I turned 39, my birthday marked a new phase for me. I had spent a year in the gym practicing yoga and Pilates, and my efforts had transformed my body from 180 to 1,335 pounds. This was a significant change for me, as I had always been on the heavier side. My ex-husband had also joined me in the gym, albeit less frequently, and he had managed to shed some weight, going from 260 to 225 pounds, sculpting his physique. Despite my improved appearance, my ex-husband couldn't keep his hands off me. However, for some inexplicable reason, I still wasn't in the mood. He tried everything, taking me out to dinners, dancing and going on regular walks. He continued to help around the house, and his eyes still held the same love and desire for me. After 2 decades together, any woman would have longed for that kind of attention, but mentally, I remained disinterested at the time. I attributed my disinterest to early menopause, since we only engaged in intimacy 2 or 3 times a month, and it was usually a quick affair. However, my ex-husband desired more, and no matter how hard he tried, I just couldn't reciprocate his feelings. He suggested couple counseling, but I stubbornly refused. My selfishness began to emerge shortly after my birthday. A new slightly younger and attractive manager started working in my office and showed interest in me. At first, I dismissed his advances, but our interactions evolved from casual chats to flirting. Even though I showed him my wedding ring, I couldn't resist responding to his flirtations, and started sharing personal details about my life. Gradually, he occupied more of my thoughts. In hindsight, I see that this was an emotional affair, something I didn't acknowledge. Then, my ex-husband began to notice something wasn't right. We ended up having a big argument, which I believe I started. When he tried to kiss me, I accidentally reacted with disgust, but it wasn't really about him. I was caught up, thinking about the other man, and this made me feel really turned off by everything that was happening. At least that's what I kept convincing myself of. A week after that pivotal day, I arranged to meet the new manager at a cafe with the intention of firmly telling him to leave me alone and put an end to this situation. However, before I could utter a single word, he surprised me with a kiss, and my thoughts went blank. That moment marked the beginning of our 6-month affair. During this time, I noticed myself being more open and enthusiastic with this other man, doing things I hadn't with my ex. I was always ready and seemed more interested, maybe due to the excitement of something new. Meanwhile, my intimacy with my ex lessened, and I started to distance myself, criticizing his small habits and even demeaning him. I'm ashamed of how I acted. Then it took my brother telling me about my ex's deepening depression and thoughts of leaving, for me to realize the gravity of my actions. Right away, I broke off the affair, left my job and decided to show my husband love and desire, hoping to mend our relationship and be a better wife. Then, the man I had the affair with came to my house, bringing a box of my office items that I had requested to be sent during our talk. He asked why things ended. I told him I had to concentrate on my marriage and asked him to go. He asked for one more meeting, and sadly, I said yes. We went to the guest room, and things got intense, making me lose track of time. Suddenly, my ex walked in. My affair partner pulled back, abruptly, hitting the wall with a loud noise. My ex had bloodshot eyes, tears rolling down, and trembling lips, showing deep hurt. I was completely disgusted by the situation. When the other man tried to leave, my ex confronted him. The man warned my ex to back off, but my ex couldn't hold back and attacked him. I yelled and begged my ex to stop. In a panic, I tried to intervene by jumping on his back, but ended up getting thrown to the ground for a while. Everything seemed blurry, and sounds were muffled when things became clear again. My ex had subdued my affair partner and was on the phone. I was just staring at the other man's bruised face and teeth on the floor. There was a loud knock and my ex put the phone on speaker, set it down, and knelt with his hands behind his head. The police burst in and handcuffed him. Soon after, paramedics showed up. I found out he had called 911 himself at the hospital. The situation got even worse. My dad was silent, looking ashamed, while my brother was furiously yelling at me. He looked heartbroken, asking how I could hurt my ex like that. My mom tried to soothe me, saying things would get better, but this made my dad raise his voice at her. His family was furious. His sisters threatened me, and his parents looked like they wanted me to suffer. I tried to talk to my kids, but they wouldn't respond. My sons wouldn't even look at me at the same time. The man I had the affair with was badly hurt and needed surgery to fix his face. After the fight with my ex at the hospital, a woman suddenly came into my room and started attacking me. My brother had to pull her off. She was the wife of the man I had the affair with. I didn't know he was married. He never wore a ring, or mentioned it. This made me feel even more guilty before the trial. My sons stayed with their grandparents, on my ex's side, and my daughters stopped talking to me. My ex didn't want to see me either. When I tried to visit him in jail, they wouldn't let me. My brother, who worked at the correctional facility, arranged for my ex to be transferred there, so he could watch over him. When I asked my brother to pass a message to my ex, he angrily told me to go to hell during the trial. Seeing my ex for the first time in 3 months, his anger was so intense, it hurt more than I could have imagined. He had always looked at me with love, even when we argued, but now, it was pure hatred. I had to leave to cry in the bathroom. Time went by, and I had to share the details of my affair in court, in front of everyone. When I told them how long it had been going on, my ex looked devastated, and my dad left the courtroom. Suddenly, hearing my ex's testimony, I found out he had planned to surprise me with lunch and a weekend trip to the Catskills. He had a whole romantic weekend planned, but walked in on us instead. When the other man told him to move, my ex snapped, and attacked him, stopping only when he pushed me away. He called 911 right after, and in court, we heard his painful voice and sobs on the recording, as he talked to the operator. It was incredibly sad. The man I was with couldn't speak in court because of his medication, so they showed pictures of his injuries. Seeing them made me feel sick. It was my fault. My ex had hurt him so badly, breaking his eye socket, cheekbones and jaw with some bone pieces too small to fix. My ex got 7 years for a third-degree felon. Moan. My sons protested the sentence, and my daughters and his family's cries of pain are something I still can't forget. The first 3 months were incredibly hard. My affair partner's ex-wife sued me for alienation of affection. My ex filed for divorce. My oldest son moved out. My other son stayed in his room all the time, and my twins were really acting out. My ex's sisters confronted me in a store, and his mom spat at me. When I tried to apologize, my dad and brother wouldn't talk to me, and even my childhood friends were split on the issue. I had to find a new job, because we had no money coming in and our savings were almost gone. But I was pretty much blacklisted in my field because of all the bad press at the accounting firm. So I started working in retail and got a seasonal job at HR Block. During tax season, I almost lost our house. My ex wouldn't let me visit him, and he sent back all the letters I wrote without opening them. I ended up crying in the shower almost every day. My parents' marriage suffered because my mom kept defending me, and my brother acted like I didn't exist. The guilt was crushing, and I started thinking about just disappearing and leaving everything behind. After some time, I decided to see a therapist who told me I had become too laid back with my ex. She said I saw him more as a friend, with benefits, than a husband. Was right. I was too comfortable with him. To me, he was a companion, but he still viewed me as his wife, the mother of his children, and the woman he loved. I had definitely taken him for granted. A whole year passed, a year where my children didn't talk to me. Whenever I made dinner, they would just take their food to their rooms, not even looking at me. I broke down several times, begging them to talk to me, but they stayed quiet. My brother got married, and I wasn't invited, although my kids were. I kept trying to visit my ex, hoping he would let me see him, but I was always turned away and he never opened my letters. Deep down, I knew I deserved the depression that had taken over for me. Suddenly, my brother showed up one day, the first time I'd seen him since the trial. I was happy to see him, but he wasn't there to make up. He came to scold me. He told me that my ex had been injured in the prison infirmary after trying to fight off another prisoner who tried to be intimate with him. My ex got injured in the stomach, and the other inmate ended up with a broken spine. My brother blamed me for what happened and left, angrily, in his truck. I cried for days because he was right. It was my fault. I tried to visit my ex in the infirmary, but they wouldn't let me for another 4 years. I kept writing letters, but they were all sent back. Luckily, Our kids visited their dad often, and I found out from them that my brother had gotten him into protective custody after the attack. As time went on, my oldest went to the same college and chose the same major as my ex, but he only talked to his siblings and stayed away from me. He didn't come home for the holidays, preferring to go to his grandparents' house. My other son did the same, going to the same college and avoiding me. My twins were hard on me, but visiting their dad regularly seemed to help their mood. When they acted out too much, their uncle would step in to help. Still, my brother and I barely talked. I tried to visit his wife when their first child was born, but they asked me to leave. My mom kept me updated on their lives, while my dad continued to act like I didn't exist. Then, in early May, this year my kids came home for 4 months. I didn't know why, but I was just happy. They were there. I tried to show how sorry I was, even though they mostly ignored me. Gradually, they started talking to me again. It was great to catch up with them and hear about their lives. My oldest was in a relationship for over a year. My second son was on the college track team, and my daughters were talking to me again. Seeing the pain I caused them made me feel even more guilty. Watching them smile, joke around and have dinner together made me yearn for what we lost. As August drew to a close, I eagerly anticipated my twins' first day of their senior year, which coincided with their 18th birthday. I shared my enthusiasm for their birthday celebration and outlined my plans. Surprisingly, my girls requested to celebrate it on a different day without hesitation. Their request left me bewildered because I thought we were making progress in rebuilding our relationship. When I inquired about their reasoning, one of them responded, "Because Dad is throwing us a party, and I don't want you near him." This statement caught me off guard, and I sought clarification on when their father had been released. They informed me that he had been released at the end of April, due to good behavior. Tears welled up in my eyes upon hearing this news, and it shattered me. Further, their increased presence in the house was a result of his return. Their happiness and contentment stemmed from having their father back in their lives, not from the progress we were making in healing. They had him back. I asked about his living arrangements, and they disclosed that he was residing with my brother. I attempted to contact my brother, desperate for a conversation, but he refused. I made an effort to visit, clutching the letters that had been returned over the years, and caught a glimpse of him, briefly through the partially open door. I called out his name, but my brother requested that I leave. I handed him the letters and departed. As I reached the driveway, I heard his voice. I turned around, and he was approaching me. Tears streamed down my face, and I moved to embrace him. He returned my letters, uttering coldly, "You forgot this," and I wept as I watched him walk away. I begged and pleaded for him to talk to me, but he simply retreated into their house. My children stood by the door, gazing at me with an absence of affection in their eyes. In that moment, I realized that my children were merely tolerating my presence. Nevertheless, I maintained a fervent desire to mend our fractured bonds. I yearned to confess my selfishness, express how much I had missed him, and convey my profound remorse for dismantling what we once shared. So, I continued to navigate my daily life, hoping for an opportunity to make amends. I learned from my mother that my affair partner's ex-wife had visited my ex 2 years ago and was still making periodic visits. Honestly, I cared little about that. My sole wish was for him to somehow forgive me, engage in conversation with me, stand by my side and regard me with the same affection as before. I longed for my children to stand with us, and I harbored a deep yearning to reunite my family, even though I recognized that I didn't deserve it. Even if by some miracle we were to reconcile, it could never be the same. I had acted selfishly, and I wished fervently that I could undo it all. Now, let's take a look at the community's perspective. In the first opinion, there's sympathy for my ex-husband, recognizing the emotional misuse and dismissive behavior I inflicted upon him. The advice here emphasizes the importance of seeking support from friends who will hold me accountable for my actions, rather than condoning them. It suggested that therapy is needed. Opinion number 2 suggests that I should stop trying to reconnect with my former family members and those who have distanced themselves from me. The advice is to live my life and move forward. These opinions reveal the complexity and seriousness of the situation, underlining the need for self-reflection and personal growth. It's essential to avoid actions that might come across as harassment. Sometimes, it's crucial to recognize when certain situations have reached an irreparable point. In opinion number 3, it's acknowledged that my children have cut off contact, possibly because my twins are still underage and living with me. The gravity of the situation, where my family essentially lost their father, and my ex lost years of his life in a hostile environment, is recognized. This opinion sees my letters and apologies as ineffective and advises me to respect my ex's choice, focusing on my own mental health and my relationship with my children. The idea of returning to the way things were is deemed unrealistic, and it's recommended to be realistic about the future of my relationship with my ex. In summary, opinion number 3 advises acceptance of the situation, personal growth, and a focus on rebuilding relationships with my children. All right, that was a fun story. Now, let's move on to another exciting one. Stay tuned, and let's dive in.